Casey Shepherd, health coach here, talking about the topic of the day. And this topic will never get old. The topic is stomach acid. And I frequently go off about this on a lot of my social media accounts, but it is just something that I see so often in a lot of the reports and just the consultations and the clientele that I'm getting. And stomach acid production is just so important when it comes to regulating our hormones, our gut health, our digestion, our mood, our energy, how good we feel, and so many other functions. And the issue is that it's so easy to have low stomach acid in our body because our sodium intake regulates our stomach acid production. Our thyroid does, along just with all the healthy foods that we're eating that help trigger that production and keep it running smoothly. So the stomach is the first line of defense in the body for pathogens, bacteria, and yeast. And the thing is when we don't have adequate production, we start bombarding our system with a lot of these bacterias, parasites, things that get into our body that are supposed to be killed off in the stomach that don't. And stress is higher these days than ever before in life. So many people have just like insane amounts of stress, whether it's physical stress, mental stress, and that stress does inhibit the production of stomach acid. Pair that with what we've always been told about having a low salt diet, not having adequate sodium intake. Sodium is so important in the production of our hormones, regulating our hydration in the body, as well as the production of stomach acid. And on top of that, the stress, any other hormonal imbalances such as low thyroid hormone, a lot of these things inhibit. And I see so many people who come to me who believe that they have high stomach acid are on PPIs like Prilosec or other proton pump inhibitors, and these medications further deplete the stomach acid even more. So one of the actual symptoms of low stomach acid is bubbling up in the esophagus, indigestion, bloating, having your food sit like a rock in your stomach after you eat, food sensitivities, just not responding well after eating, really like a ton of bloating. And a lot of people go into a doctor with these complaints and the doctor will just throw them on these medications. So you may relieve a few of these symptoms like the bubbling up in the esophagus or some of the like acid reflux that you get. But a big sign that that you actually have low stomach acid is that even when you eat after you get on these, like you still stay full way longer than you should. You're still getting a lot of bloating after meals. You feel like you're not digesting really well still. So even if you've eliminated maybe some of the acid reflux or some of that bubbling up, a lot of those other bloating, gas, more food sensitivities than ever, food sitting in your stomach like a rock after you eat for way longer. A lot of people over time with low stomach acid will start eating less and less meat because the main job of stomach acid is to break down protein. And when you are unable to really break it down and you get that overly full feeling, a lot of people will unknowingly just start to make different food choices, which means lower protein intake. They're not getting enough, which means their carbohydrate intake is probably way higher than it should be, which then is just leading to a whole other slew of issues. So protein helps balance our glucose levels, it helps keep us lean, it helps with our metabolism, blood sugar regulation, and many other hormones. So I do see a lot of people who have that low stomach acid who have just over time, their protein intake has just gotten so low. And on top of that, they're still not feeling well because they're not digesting a lot. So people are like not eating enough during the day. And you can just see how all of these problems start to overlap. So a lot of people that I work with, I take off of their PPIs. I start putting them on protocols for hydrochloric acid and betaine to get that stomach acid production back up, to get them digesting things better, to then work their protein intake up. And it's interesting when you start people on these protocols, how much better they feel after they eat. They don't have the brain fog. They're not getting that bloating. They're not getting that like heavy feeling after meals. They're not feeling that indigestion, and they just overall start to feel better. And Any low amounts of stomach acid just means you're not breaking things down properly. If you're taking any vitamins, like most likely you're not absorbing them correctly. And the reason we eat nutritious food and healthy food is because we absorb the vitamins and the nutrients from those foods as we break it down. And when you're not breaking those things down properly with the proper hydrochloric acid, stomach acid, we get a lot of nutritional deficiencies, which means low B vitamins, which means bad neurological issues, brain fog, really depleted energy levels. All these vitamins and nutrients are so important for every organ to be functioning in our body, for our gut to work correctly. You just see kind of all of it play together. So one little thing like this you see can just compile and spiral into all these other issues in the body. And this is what I do when I'm working with people is we assess. This is just one little piece that I assess, but there could be 5 other imbalances in the body going on at the same time. And, as a health coach, the job is to assess every single thing that's off and decide if we take care of these 2 things, it's going to trickle down into this thing. And then everything will kind of fall into place. What I think a lot of holistic practitioners do, health coaches and naturopaths, is they try to address everything at one time. It's too much to overload the body with. And the reality is if you understand the feedback loop in the system and how everything functions together, then you get to pick and choose on a scale and a ladder of the highest importance, and knowing what to address and how that will trickle down and heal the other things in the system. So it is sort of a delicate balance. It does take a lot of skill to understand how the body works, the line of importance, and that is why we do these big reports as well, so that we can assess everything at once, determine what that scale of most importance is, and address things as they need to be addressed.